How big is the town of Omro? That's a great question. It probably feels like a pretty small town, right? Honestly, until this past year, I always sort of assumed that town of Omro was about average size in terms of town sizes in the state of Wisconsin. But in order to help myself understand how a potential mandate was going to affect the town of Omro compared to smaller town sizes, I decided to take a deeper dive to determine just how big the town of Omro was compared to other towns across the state. Answer might surprise our residents. I knew that smaller, really smaller towns are out there. I just didn't realize how many of them were out there and how big Omro might seem compared to them. In 2025, Town of Omro's population estimate was 2,422 people. If you're catching this video from another state, you might be thinking, how is your township so small when ours are so much bigger? Well, first of all, we are not a township. We are towns in Wisconsin. Potato, potato, pretty much the same, right? Not really. A township in another state is geographically different than a town in Wisconsin, and the same is true for villages in other states compared to ours. Towns are the unincorporated communities in Wisconsin. So while there may be some overlap in size between towns, cities, and villages here, for the most part, towns will generally be the smaller communities in the state. That said, in a state with 1,815 municipalities, the largest portion of them by far are towns. We are numbered at 1,242, accounting for 67% of all munis across the state. Wisconsin's 418 villages make up another 23%, with just 190 cities rounding out the rest. Out of that 67%, where does Town of Omro stack up in size? Currently, the smallest town in the state of Wisconsin is Cedar Rapids at just 35 people. The largest is the town of Grand Chute with over 24,000. Clearly, the numbers are all over the map of Wisconsin, literally. In 2025, Omro ranked at number 142 in terms of size among other towns. This places us in the top 11%. The other 89%, the other 1,100 towns across the state, are even smaller than the town of Omro. Are you surprised to learn how big we are? Honestly, I was. Here's another interesting fact that might surprise you. The U.S. Department of Transportation, the federal agency, defines rural as non-urbanized areas with a population of less than 200,000. For perspective, in the state of Wisconsin, every single municipality except the cities of Madison and Milwaukee would qualify as rural. Why does this matter? Because when there's federal funding available for rural road projects, it requires tiny communities to compete for these grants against cities as large as Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay, Kenosha, Racine, Waukesha, Menominee Falls, the list goes on. All 1,848 communities, other than the city of Madison and Milwaukee, would qualify for rural road funding under this definition. About that, though, the Wisconsin Towns Association Town Advocacy Council, along with the National Associations of Towns and Townships, has been lobbying in favor of a legislative effort known as the Protecting Infrastructure Investments in Rural America Act, otherwise known as H.R. 502. This act would modify the definition of rural area in the Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program from populations of 200,000 to just 30,000. Some of you might be thinking, 30,000 still seems a little bit big to be considered rural. Yeah, maybe. But it would be a significant step in narrowing the field of just how many communities we would be competing against for grants designated for use on rural roads. So if H.R. 502 is passed and comes to fruition, changing that defining population to 30,000, we'll take it. So there you have it. That's how Town of Omro stacks up in size compared to other communities in the state of Wisconsin. Great question indeed. Got another one? Let us know.